You're listening to Rockin' Sexy Uncensored, bringing you the cutting edge of the entertainment world weekly, hosted by Lynn.
Woohoo! All right, you guys. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Rockin' Sexy Uncensored. We are broadcasting on United Broadcasting Network, UBNGO Channel 1, and live streaming on our blog weekly at rockinsexyuncensored.com. I'm your host, Lynn. It is my pleasure to be here with you all tonight. And joining me is Joe Williamson in the co-host seat.
Hey, thank you so much, Amber, and you look absolutely beautiful as ever.
Well, thank you, Joe. It's good to have you back in the house again. Folks, RNSU works overtime to bring you the cutting-edge talents of the music and entertainment worlds, and tonight is no exception. Our first guest tonight, an amazing and extremely busy actor. He's appeared in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Planet of the Apes, Anger Management opposite the great Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler. And he's also appeared in the superhero film Deadpool. He provided the voice of Thanos in two Marvel series, Avengers Assemble and Guardians of the Galaxy. Please welcome to Rockin' Sexy Uncensored, Isaac C. Singleton Jr. is in the house tonight.
Hey!
Hello,
Glad to
Isaac.
be here. Hi.
We are honored to have you on our show tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Joe.
Love your work, and pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
So thanks for inviting me, like I said.
Guess what, guys? We are adding some femme fatale energy to our show as well. She is known for many roles, from playing the bombshell in Jackie Chan's The Biggest Brawl. She appeared with Yul Brynner in the film The King and I. She was the largest female role ever in the original Kung Fu TV series, as well as appearing on Golden Girls, shows like Married with Children, and she now has her very own cooking show called Cooking with Joyce Lynn. Please welcome to our show, Joyce Lynn Liu.
Hi.
How are you doing, girl?
Just great. How are you?
It's good to have you in the house.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, both people are wearing purple. Did you notice that coming in the door? Great minds obviously think alike.
Or ESP.
ESP.
Mm-hmm.
And I also heard a little thing on the way here that you two were having dinner together in the same restaurant.
We
sat next to each other at a chair at a banquet last week for martial artists.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, it's great. It was a good
You know
time.
what's really funny, because when we book artists on the show together, we're like, are they going to get along? Do they know each other? Did they work together? Is there something going on we can talk about? And then you guys both come in wearing purple. So I was like, is there something going on here we don't know?
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Isn't it great?
But it's funny because when I saw the write-up you did, and then I saw his picture, I went, wait a minute. And then I remembered, I asked you how to spell your last name, and then there you were.
That's awesome. So do you guys know each other before you came on the show, or?
Like I said, we met that week. That
Yeah,
day,
it was
that
only
night, and
not
that
even
was
a
it.
week ago.
Yeah.
It was last Sunday. We were having the Dragon Fest. After Dragon Fest, they had sort of a banquet of tons of martial artists, and I just happened to be lucky enough to sit next to him.
I would feel very lucky sitting next to you too, Isaac.
But to be honest, it's been 2 weeks now because last Sunday I was in San Diego at a birthday party, so it's been the week before that now, so it's 2 weeks now. Time flies, doesn't it?
Such a nice guy. That's the one thing that I heard about you when I was saying that I had you booked on the show. I'm just going to take this earring off because it keeps trying to fall off. They said, "Oh, he's so humble," because I said he's 6'5" and he's just all in your acting reel and all of your movies. You just look like this just giant character. And they said he's such a nice, humble guy.
That's you can attribute that to my parents, the way they raised me, and I'm just very happy to be that guy. I'm happy to play these mean, tough characters online, on film or whatever. But yeah, in real life, I'm just a nice.
Is that what you mostly typecast as is your in your films? Because I did see some of that where there was a few roles that we're going to be talking about tonight. Tell us about your acting journey. How'd you get started?
Okay, it's not a short story, so I got a message from God when I was a sophomore in college that he'd been showing me since I was 4 years old that I was supposed to be an actor. I said, "Okay, God, I understand what you've been telling me for a while. I'm going to be an actor now." So I was at Florida A&M University. I was an economics major because my goal was to become a commodities broker after college. And my goal since 8th grade, I was going to be a commodities broker. That was my goal. But my sophomore year of college, God showed me these signs I was to be an actor because I was taking a theater.
What was the sign?
Well, then you got to go back to the very beginning then if you want to hear it, because I don't know how much time you've got.
Okay, no. Well, I definitely wanted to know, like, what was the sign? Was it?
Do you remember you were a little girl and people would say, "Hey, what are you going to be when you grow up, Amber?" Remember that? Mm-hmm. What'd you say when you were 4?
I wanted to be a beauty queen.
Okay.
Yeah.
When I was 4, I wanted to be a mad scientist. Now, I'll fast forward and get all this. But the reason why I say this is because every time somebody asks me what I was going to be for a living, you know how we don't think in letters and never think in pictures? No matter what age I was at, I always get this flash of picture. The picture was a bunch of people sitting in a room. The room was dark. There's a blue light shining on their faces, and they were looking at the light with interest. I could see where they were sitting, the clothes they were wearing, and everything like that. But when I was 4, that vision would pop in and pop out. I said, "I'm a mad scientist." And I got older, I want to be a football player. Then I want to be an eye doctor like my dad for a little while. And then 8th grade, I settled and wanted to be a commodities broker and work in the commodities market.
And make a ton of money.
Yeah, that would have been great.
I also wanted to make a ton of money when I was growing up.
So anyway, flash forward to no matter what age I was at, every time somebody asked that question, "What are you going to do when you grow up?" I'd answer the question, but I always get that same flash to those people. So now flash forward to my sophomore year of college. I'm an economics major at Florida A&M University. And that semester I decided to take a theater class because I've been in public speaking since I was in 9th grade. So I took the theater course, and the theater director at my university asked me to come audition for a play. I got the lead in the play. And now I'm doing the play with the theater majors, and they're like, "Man, Isaac, you don't think about doing this for a living." I said, "I like it a lot, but I think I'm supposed to be a commodities broker." Anyway, the same semester, the stock market made a recorrection, and I started evaluating, why do you want to be a broker? I did a pros and cons list, and I was praying to God about it. The pros list was short. I could make a lot of money. The cons list was a lot longer. But anyway, I walked to the Dollar Theater in town, which was, I had to cross Florida A&M's campus, across Florida State's campus to get to the Dollar Theater. And like I'm saying, praying to God, should I be an actor, should I be an actor, or should I be a commodities broker? I get in the theater, the lights come down, the movie starts, and all of a sudden this voice inside of my head said, "Isaac, turn around." When I turned around, I saw the exact people I've been seeing since I was 4 years old, where they were sitting, the clothes they were wearing, and the blue light shining on their face was the movie reflection on their faces looking at the screen, and me looking at them. So that's them looking at the screen. I said, "Okay, God, you want me to be a main actor? Okay, that's what I'll do."
And you had never thought up until that moment that you wanted to be an actor before?
Not seriously. I mean, I've always made voices. I've always been making characters since I was a child. I just love doing that for fun because that's just...
Were you 6'5" when you were a sophomore in school? Were you
No.
already over?
Well, no, my sophomore year, I grew to be 6'5". I weighed 220 pounds.
I could see where they would want to definitely recruit you as a professional football player, too.
Well, I mean, you got to have skills on the football field. It doesn't matter
Right.
how tall you are sometimes.
Well,
I
you're
I
supposed
played
to have
football in
skills
high
as
school.
an actor, too.
Yeah.
And that's...
So I was studying, then I studied there, and then I went to and I transferred universities because what happened is, okay, now okay, God, I'm going to be an actor. But now I'm walking home from the theater saying, okay, I'm in Tallahassee. There's no film industry here whatsoever. I know I want to do film and TV. So now I'm praying to God about what am I going to do. So I get home, and what happens? I get to my apartment. I turn the TV on. The 11 o'clock news is coming on right then and there. The first thing the newscaster says is, Hollywood has come to Florida. Universal Studios and MGM Studios in Orlando are doing major film and television production. I said, okay, God, I guess I'll go to Orlando, but I want to go to college still. That's when I found out about University of Central Florida. I transferred to UCF. All my credits transferred. I graduated on time with a communications degree. And I started getting into film and TV when I was in Orlando and started studying more as an actor down there. I started working in live shows at Universal doing the Wild West Stunt Show, which was the first African-American that hired that show. I played at Disney doing the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, playing the German mechanic, and then I got trained in a bunch of other characters. And I was an equity job, so I got my equity pay there, and I was able to make a living. And then saved enough money to move to California. Which is what I
Wow,
did.
and you just struck me as the kind of person that focuses on what you want, and you just, because I'm like that, you just beeline, that's what's going to happen. I have a good question for you.
Okay.
Most of your roles to date have been significant supporting roles to major leads. I want to talk about your role in anger management, where you, like, literally, for me, you take the scene away from Adam Sandler, and you're playing an air marshal, I think,
yeah.
and you're arguing over a racially insensitive remark that he makes.
Well, see, that's the way. It's so funny because if you look at the way the scene is written, all he said was, "What's with you people?"
Right.
But see, my character was just having a bad day.
Okay.
So my character was like, "What do you mean, you people?"
Right.
You know, so I took it that way. He didn't mean it that way at all. He
your
just said, "What's wrong
voice-
with you people?" Because, see, what happened is a flight attendant was ignoring him before then, and then now this air marshal's coming in and confronting him. And he's like, "What's with you people?" But he's talking to me, so I'm like, "What do you mean, you people?" So if you wanted to see, he didn't mean it that way, but see, my character wanted to take it that way because insensitive of what's going on in our country at the moment and all that kind of stuff. So it was just funny.
That's right. And it is the insensitivity of what's going on. And the way that you kind of rolled that out for me, I mean, I was there with you guys. I mean, it really took me there. And Adam Sandler is not an easy person to take a scene away from, you know? I mean, the guy's definitely on top of his game. I loved it. I wanted to give you that.
All I know is Adam was a great guy to work with. Jack Nicholson was a great guy to work with also. And I mean, to me, they carried the scene. I was just a prop.
He was amazing.
I was a speaking prop in that scene, and they were the ones that made it all happen. Especially Adam's character, but he's just trying to be humble and nice. And like,
He's really a nice guy,
Yeah,
too.
so-
I remember we were running our dogs out in Sunset Plaza one day, and he had a new baby. I guess this was years ago. And he had taken his little baby out from the restaurant. It was fussing or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going along, and this person's holding this little baby, and we're like, we run, and we're like, "Oh, the baby!" And then all of a sudden, I look up, and it's Adam, and he's holding this little baby, and I'm like, "Oh, hi!" Yeah, so just a really sweet guy.
yeah, definitely.
And Jack Nicholson, how was that?
You know, it was like it was great to work with both of them. I mean, they were just consummate professionals, really. I mean, that was my first movie when I got here.
It was your first movie?
When I got to town, that was my very first one I got hired on. My first job was on the X-Files. My first movie was anger management.
And after that, I bet you were just thinking, well, I've got this.
No,
right?
I honestly feel like almost every time I finish a movie, I feel like I started at the bottom ladder and start climbing back up again. But I don't mind the journey because I love doing what I do.
What is your favorite type of film to do? Is it comedy, drama?
I enjoy action right now because I've got the body to carry it off, and I got the height and the size and the body. I love action films. I love them a lot. But if it's action and comedy, it's just both the best worlds, best of both worlds.
And you do like a whole, and both of you guys do like all different characters, all different kinds of, you don't focus on one particular thing.
No, I want to be diverse so people know they can hire me to do a lot of different things.
However, being 6'5", I'm sure that comes into play with the characters that you get chosen for.
You know, it does, but I've actually lost out on films because they said we liked Isaac a lot. He's just too big compared to our lead actor, and I mean, like, well, okay, that's just the
to
business.
stand next to, I've had that situation
Yeah,
with
so-
me too as a female because I'm 5'7", and most actors are smaller people. So they'll say, we have to put you in flat shoes or whatever. But being 6'5" is a whole nother world. And I've known Joe, who's 6'3", and so even so, you did a scene in Pirates of the Caribbean that there's a woman in the scene, and you're playing this character where you reach out and you smack this woman's face.
Yeah, when she was talking, nobody was talking to her. So. No, that was.
I was like, did you get any backlash from that? Because I was like,
You
he
know,
just slapped that woman.
But
And
that's
this-
the character slapping her. I didn't.
I know
smack
that's
her.
the character
But that was,
slapping.
matter of fact,
But-
that was my audition scene for the movie. That was my audition scene I did
Oh,
for the
because
movie.
I was thinking to myself, speaking of what's all going on in the country right now with the whole Me Too movement, I was surprised that they didn't get all up in arms with that whole.
Yeah, that was 2001. Me Too really hadn't happened yet, so yeah, that was
Right.
back then. But that was a great movie to work on too. It was nice 6-month long movie. I like a nice long movie.
And you was great in it.
Well, thanks.
You was I thought you did an amazing job in that film.
Thank you. 'Cause,
Yeah. And it's just.
But it was a team effort, though. I mean, all the people there. I mean, Keira Knightley was a great she's a great actress, and it was funny just rehearsing the scene with her before, off to the side, whether it's on quarter. She and I just kind of like, this is how I'll do it, just make sure you see my hand swing and you move your face, whatever. And I was nowhere near smacking her at all, but it was funny because when I did the scene, the look on her face when she looked back at me
Well,
was
she
almost.
knew it was coming. She knew it was. When you're on a set.
Oh, yeah,
if
we
you're
know-
gonna
you
do
know
a
it's
slapping
coming.
scene or something. It's not going to be something that comes as a surprise.
No, but I didn't smack her anyway. But the thing about it was after he did the simulated slap, her acting was so good. The way she just looked at me like, "How dare you smack me?" and I was trying to keep from. I really had to hold it together because I was trying to keep from laughing because it was so funny the look that she gave me as if I really did smack her. But it's just she's just that good of an actress. So, but it was really funny. But I was able to hold it together because I'm a consummate professional, you know what I'm saying?
And then Joe has a question he wants to ask you about a movie that you did, and I wanted to let him.
Yes, well, you played Tank in that film with Dolph. I thought you did an amazing job.
Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
He's talking about Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
And you did a film with him.
It was called Larceny.
Yes, and I believe you was the main villain in that film. I love the fight scene you had with it. How was it doing the fight scene with? Because you said you love doing physical, action films, and that must give a great chance to do some fighting scenes and action in that film.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, got to smack into some. We were in the bathroom having this fight, so we knocked over some of the stall walls and all kind of stuff. It was a good time. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned you did 3 different kinds of martial arts over the years, or?
Well, when I was in college, I was doing Taekwondo. Then when I moved here, I started doing kickboxing. And then recently, I started doing Krav Maga.
I love Krav Maga.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
what I do. Yeah.
So there's no katas involved. Just learn how to kick and get in, injure somebody and get out.
It's
not
all
about
combat, right? It's all combat,
Yeah.
and it's great. And it also works really great with movie making as well because of the way they train you. It's like it's in up close, and it's also great for the head. Really great for your focus and your energy and stuff like that. Yeah.
Even the stances are different. I like it. It's different than karate or martial. The stances aren't even the same. Even movement of hands aren't the same. It's great. I like it.
I don't know. Are you having problems finding people that will spar with you? Because I feel
it's
like,
just who's in
come on,
class.
let's go.
But it's kind of neat because in our classes there's women in there too, and our teachers have told us some stories about how these 5'2" girls have gotten out of trouble with these guys my size when they've approached them or try to intimidate them, and these girls have gotten out of situations because they knew what they were doing there, where to strike, how to strike, and get in and out and get away. That's kind of neat.
That's amazing. What got you into the martial arts?
Once again, like when I was telling you, when I was a small child, I used to like to do all kinds of characters and have fun. And what kid doesn't like martial arts when he's a kid growing up? You're seeing Bruce Lee movies and things like that, and you're watching Chuck Norris, and everybody. You just want to be like that.
Who was your idol when you were a kid? Who was your acting idol?
I don't really. I have to be honest. I didn't really have an acting idol. I mean, I just know I was really into Star Wars back then.
You were?
Yeah, I love Star Wars.
Mine was Speed Racer. I was into Speed Racer. Yeah, he was. And
I have to be honest. I guess my favorite actor even back then was Darth Vader. Meaning I liked James Earl Jones' voice. I just liked James Earl Jones.
He's just a baby. You know what, Joycelyn? I want to get you in on this conversation as well. You've done a lot of martial arts films.
Yes.
Yeah, and you started out your career when you were 8 years old, right? When you were 3 years old. Wow.
Believe it or not, with Clark Gable and Susan Hayward.
Did you want to be an actor? Did your parents want you to be an actor? This is a woman who just represents.
I didn't want to either. I didn't want to. I was really shy, and I'm so shy that when they used to say here, you have to say here when they call your name, and I wouldn't. They thought I was like hearing impaired, and they had my dad take me to get my ears cleaned out, and I'm like, oh my God.
So your parents were like, "Oh, we have a pretty baby. Let's put her in film," right?
Well, my mother was, my parents worked for William Holden, before I was born. So they already were kind of into that. And my mother was a singer, and she also did a lot of extra stuff. In those days, there weren't a lot of Asian parts, but she was in Sayonara as Marlon Brando's mother-in-law, and she worked on Tea House of the August Moon, and she worked on The Ugly American also. A lot of movies with Brando.
Oh, wow, yeah. I remember those.
And so, I was picked to do this little scene with this boy. He was like adopted by Ronald Reagan in this movie, and they wanted me to do a tisket a tasket and chase him. And I was not going to chase a boy, so I refused. And my mother was just mortified. She's like, "The director picked you, and you didn't do it." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And so I had to go in the sandbox and play in the sandbox instead of doing the part. And so I said, I got to make it up to her. She was just really upset. And I go, gee, I didn't really know she wanted me to do that, So then the next
Well, you were
time,
only 3 years old, though, right?
4.
You're
by then.
4. Yeah, still a baby,
matured.
though, right?
But I still knew, I knew that she was upset. So then I said, okay, I'm going to make it up to her. So the next time they auditioned all these children, I just did, I did this part. And then all of a sudden I started listening to the other girls doing this speech. And I went, they're not doing very well. I can do better than that. And I just, felt it. And I thought I was speaking like Katharine Hepburn. I felt this deep voice. And when I watch it, I'm a squeaky little voice. And it's in my mind, I was like very heavy and it was dramatic. But when I watch it, it's like it's a little girl. This little...
Yeah, my voice sounds like a little girl.
It's funny in your mind.
No, definitely not. So what was your break part? What was your breakout role?
It was Princess Ying Yawalak in The King and I. It was the little girl at the end that tells Deborah Carr not to go back to England.
And that's in The King and I.
Yes, it was when the king was dying and she was going to leave us. And so that audition took literally almost 3 months. They kept bringing it, they brought in like 300 people, then 100, then they took all the girls, then they took 9 girls, then they took like 6, and then it was down to 3. And then when I got it, the other mother started crying, and my mother was like, oh my God, how I was just not even aware of all this, but my mother told me later on that's what happened, because they were so upset. And so that was the first time I really got to, emote in my own way and then cry, and everything.
And then your career just took off. Like you did.
Well, there's
one
not a
movie
lot of work when you're 9 years, but I did like Danny Thomas, and I did this other shows, like Married with Children. No, wait a minute, what's it called? Room 222. That was a series, and I started doing that when I was in school. And I went back to class, and they go, "Oh, we saw you on TV." I was trying to keep it down, like.
So it's mostly TV stuff.
I started doing a lot of
little.
TV, and then I did refugee movies with Rock Hudson. I did Battle Hymn.
What was it like to work with Rock Hudson?
Well,
Rock Hudson
I
is
was
somebody. I mean, this is before
Yeah,
For me, when I think about Rock Hudson, it's like these old Hollywood movies. It's not really my time, but because it represents like a golden era of Hollywood. That
Yes, and I didn't know who these. I mean, he was just really handsome. So
you just thought he was this nice, handsome actor that you get to work with, and
well, what happened is we were refugees, and we're supposed to be like falling down and then rolling down this hill. And this other girl goes, I don't want to get my clothes dirty. So then the director goes, Joyce Lynn, and I go, I'm here. And I was like right under him, but he didn't see me because I was so little. And so then he goes, would you roll down the hill? And I go, sure, because it's not my clothes. It's the studio's clothes, so I don't care. So then I did. And nobody knew that Rock Hudson was going to pick me up in his arms and carry me off. And I just was like, oh, So that was, very fun because, I just wanted to do just anything. It didn't really matter. And then I also worked with Humphrey Bogart and Agnes Moorehead and Gene Tierney.
It's the same movie, though, isn't it?
No, it's a different movie.
Oh, it's a different movie.
That was The Lieutenant of God. And he sang, and I just noticed his teeth, you know. You know, when you're little, you just look at things that adults have, and that was the only thing I remember. It's funny how you don't remember some of the, you know, but then later on when I found out who he was, because I started watching, you know, Casablanca and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then I didn't even know that Clark Gable was in Gone with the Wind, you know, or anything like that, because he wasn't in the scene, but I remember looking at Susan Hayward, and she was so beautiful. There's certain people that, you know, impress you when you're little.
It's interesting that you say you don't feel there was a lot of parts then for Asian actresses. Do you feel that your popularity, because you became very popular and you just had this long range prolific career, do you feel that you changed that?
Well,
in Hollywood?
Strangely enough,
because it's not the case today. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot more stuff now, but I was kind of doing things like that you wouldn't like. It wasn't an Asian role. I would just go out for white girl roles. I even played blondes. I just put a blonde wig on, and I did this commercial as Alice in Sauterland, and I just put on this wig, and I had a blonde hair, and the guy did not know where I was from. He was like, I mean, I really bleached my hair blonde once even. I just did it because I was just like, well, I'm 16 and I've always had dark hair. I'm going to have blonde hair and I can talk like a blonde.
It's funny how people perceive they have this kind of thing that happens where they form these kind of views, because when I was, you know, younger, not that old yet, but when I was younger, I went out for all roles, and I never even thought, you know, that the role was for an Asian, for an African American, a white girl, whatever. I just those types of things just never really occurred to me. And it wasn't until I came to Los Angeles. I grew up in Orange County down in Newport Beach, and it's even though it's just outside of LA, you were talking about being from Anaheim. Even though it's just outside of LA, it's a different place where people, I think, are more, they don't have these kind of racial insensitivities about any culture. And when I came to LA, I noticed a lot of that in the movie making and the entertainment industries. And I'm so glad that it has come full circle today, where we are now like breaking out with the movement of people who are no longer putting up with these kind of stereotypes or allowing them to go on. And it's become like almost a war. It created almost like a war. And I just was wondering if you felt like you had, you know, participated in that.
Well, originally it was harder, you know, because as you know, there's certain roles that I would always get. I just don't look like Off the Boat. So there were two Asian roles, either Off the Boat or a hooker. Mm-hmm. And I kind of look more
what? Off the Boat or a hooker? Did you say that?
So I have played so many, but I don't look like a street hooker. I tried that. I look more like a call girl. So I couldn't get the street hooker looks because I don't have that hard look, so you know? And I tried so hard one time.
Well, it's all in the makeup, what they put you in as a character.
Well,
how about you, Isaac? Or do you have that
played
problem?
A hooker before?
Well, I know that in, you know, studying acting and in our acting workshops, they would do a particular exercise where they would assign us something that we would never play as a character. Like they would take Isaac and they would make Isaac play like either a little child in a corner or like, you know, a hooker, you know, or something where you had to bring it out of yourself from within. And it was great exercise though, because I think that we all do that, where we find ourselves typecast into these types of roles.
I think I got my inner hooker going right now.
You what?
I got my inner hooker right now. Hey, lady, looking for a good time.
But yeah, it's
especially you're in the right town now, right? Because we're in the right place for all of that. That is so funny.
Well, we both do voiceovers, and that's good because you don't have to be what you know. I played like 90-year-old Filipino ladies on Rambo, you know.
Did you really?
Like, Rambo, could I have a ride on your motorcycle? Yeah, and then, you know, just little baby kids roles and stuff like that. Because it's like, it's for your voice. You don't have to look that way. You can just come as you are and then just make the character on, the voice.
So show us your bombshell that you played in Jackie Chan's. Tell us about your bombshell. I have to go there. In Jackie Chan's.
Well, I was a hooker again because.
Oh, you were. Oh,
Yeah.
it said bombshell.
Well, they canceled.
Sorry to do this to everybody. It's in my nature. It's an uncensored program. That's why we're here.
They actually kidnapped the good girl, and so Jackie goes, well, I have to show some girl, you can't just come empty-handed. And they go, so Jose Ferrer goes, well, to that end, we brought in one of our ladies from down the street or whatever he says, I don't remember. And so then I walk down, he goes, you mean fake this girl is May? They'd never buy it. And he goes, well, you got to go home with somebody. And so they're expecting this shy, girl, and I'm chewing gum, and I'm in the car, and I'm wearing this tight dress and everything, and I'm walking down, and Jackie's goes, he shakes his head like this, and he goes, get rid of the gum. So I stick it like this, and I stick it on the windowsill. And then he's expecting this mail order bride, and they're going, oh, May, I'm so happy to meet you. Here's my father. So I grab him, and I kiss him, and then Jackie's just goes like, oh my God, And so it's kind of this comedy thing, I love doing comedy, though.
Mm-hmm.
That must have been an amazing time to work with Jackie Chan.
Well, he didn't speak English all that much because it was one of his first movies, and we shot it in San Antonio, and he would just go, hi, honey.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, they really covered that up well in his films then, because it seemed like, he definitely had...
Well, that was his very first film he did
Okay.
in
In
the U.S.
America, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he was a star already,
In Japan or in China, it was
Asia.
star over there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was-
So I think you guys have a tremendous amount of energy and that you should work on a film together,
That would be wonderful.
right?
Guess we got to write it and get it produced. And
Well, it seems like people are breaking out since the pandemic and everybody's back to work now.
a lot are.
You got anything to tease us with?
I have done 2 films this year. What happens with them, I do not know. Once I leave, I'm like
Are
that.
you allowed to talk about them? We always get hit with the NDA thing. Everybody's like, NDA, I can't tell you this, but I can tell you that. So, we want to.
Yeah, and then the video game I did, I can't really talk about that either because it's coming out.
That's
but I
right. You
finished it.
did do a video game
This year. I've done a lot of video games. And that's what I was going to say, Laura, when you were talking about voiceovers. I've gone to voiceover sessions sometimes. I played all kinds of characters. I mean, I've done 40 voices or more alone just for World of Warcraft alone. And there's one stitch, one, and I do all kinds of things from giants to elves to orcs, ice giants.
That must have
all
really
kinds of
been good, though, during the pandemic to be able to do voiceovers. And they still, because I know we had an actor on our show last week who was showing us pictures, right, Tony, of the way they had to go in and do makeup during the pandemic. And I didn't work on any films during the pandemic, but they had to wear these plastic helmets in the makeup chair in order to let the makeup artist do you with masks, and then these it was a hazmat suit with a whole plastic helmet going on, and I said, what is that, a space movie? And he goes, no, I'm in the makeup chair. He goes, I'm in the makeup chair. I said, what? And he said, yeah, you had to sign a release to be able to work on the films.
Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah. Well, it was fun doing voiceover because what they would do is the producer and director wouldn't even be there. They'd be on another location through ISDN line. I would be there with the engineer. He would come into the studio, sanitize everything. He'd leave. I'd go in there, have the microphone set up for me, and then we'd do a session where he's on the other side of the glass, I'm on this side of the glass, and then the producer and the director would be in my ear, and they'd talk to me on a screen, and we'd just do the session that way.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. It worked perfectly.
What is your favorite role you've ever done as an actor? If you want to tell your fans, I want you to see my work here.
There's been so many for different reasons. Like I got to do one of my first jobs when I got here was Arliss. I did an episode of Arliss, and they couldn't script it. They let me make up my dialogue because they couldn't script it, and they wanted me to play this character who was a NBA player, but you know how at the end of some games they interview the player and you can't understand what he's saying. He's speaking English, but you don't know exactly what he said, but you know he said something in English. Well, they want me to do that because they wanted me to play an inarticulate guy, in other words.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't
inarticulate.
following you.
So-
being I was like, what?
Yeah, so anyway, they couldn't script it because how are they going to script someone talking but not talking and understanding? So they said, Isaac, just make up a story for us right now, and we want to understand what you're saying but not understand what you're saying at the same time. And so, thank goodness I've been doing improv for years. I improv the story right then and there on my trip there to the audition. I remember I was on the 101 driving south, and a woman was in the car next to me, driving next to me, and she was putting her makeup on in the mirror of her car with both her hands while she's driving on the freeway.
I'm sorry. That was me. How rude.
And I told them the story, and they were laughing when I still left the room.
Nice.
And when I got home, I got a call from the wardrobe department asking for my sizes even before my representation had called me. So I said, I must have gotten that one. So I love it when you get home and the wardrobe's calling before even your agent or everybody knows you got the job. So I was like, oh, hey, that's good.
Yeah, that's
So that's
exciting.
one, because I got to make up my own, they trusted me enough to make up my own dialogue. But then Pirates, that was like one of the first movies you saw my face when I got here, because before that I did Galaxy Quest and Planet of the Apes. It was a 4-hour makeup on Planet. And
Was
Galaxy
it?
Quest is a 3-hour
I was going to
makeup.
ask you about the makeup on that because the makeup was just insane.
It was great. 4-hour makeup every single day. And I was on that movie 6 days a week sometimes.
What was your character on it?
I play 4 characters in that movie.
You play 4 different characters?
4 different characters, which probably saved Sony a lot of money on just having to hire 3 other actors to play their roles. All I had to do is run my makeups that fit me only. Now, my makeups wouldn't fit anybody else, so they ran my makeups that fit me only, and all you had to do is just put me in a different suit, different outfit, and I'd be a different gorilla that day. So I played 4 different characters.
They were really happy with your performance in that.
I believe that Tim Burton and them were happy with what I did. I really did a good job. It was just great working with Tim Burton, too. I mean, it's great to see a guy like that, great artist. And when you see that he's getting the scenes and shots he wants, it's like a kid opening a present at Christmas. He's got a grin on his face. He's got such excitement, and it's just great to see that you're helping the project come to life. I love that.
Wow, congratulations on that. Joe was just talking about Tim Burton on the way here in the car.
Yeah, I know he's got that new Addams Family. It's coming out the same day, I think, as the new Munster movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's going to be something.
Well,
And by the way, guys, I just want to tell you that if we have any fans out there that want to call into the show tonight and join the fun, talk to our talents and say hello. If you've got any questions or fanning that you want to do, our call-in number is 323-524-2599, and our phone lines will be open for the rest of the show. Yeah.
So that was another favorite, because now I'm actually a lead now on Pirates, and then also you can see it's me.
And you worked with Johnny Depp too, right?
Yeah,
in Pirates.
consummate gentleman,
That?
great guy. Nothing
Right.
negative to say about him whatsoever.
We had to ask. You know, we had Lisa London on the show during his trial, and she was the same thing.
Yeah, he's spectacular and human being and all. And it was funny because, I don't know if you know my background, but I lived in both Europe and United States growing up. And he was talking to me about his...
Here's Isaac in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
Yeah,
That was a great makeup.
That's a cave scene. That makeup took 3 hours a day, too.
Really?
'Cause I had to put all those keloid marks on my face and on my chest and on my neck. So that wasn't a quick, let's just paint this down and go. No, that took some time also.
Who was your favorite actor to work with in Hollywood in films?
Man,
In your career, which one? Because we always have that one that just...
You've worked with so many great ones, too.
I know. There's this one, though, that keeps recurring almost every time I
Jack
do a job.
Nicholson would do it for me. My big one would be if I ever was booked into a scene with Robert De Niro, I would probably pee my pants, because as acting goes, it's like Robert De Niro's, for me, has always just been the greatest actor that ever lived.
I'm sorry, who would you say the current
I'd say this one actor, he's almost in every show I go to, and he's been supportive, and he's always happy when I get a job. I think his name is Isaac C. Singleton Jr. Every time I work, he's always happy to work with me, and I'm always happy.
He's one of my favorite stars. He's a brilliant actor.
Favorite one. Yeah, he's always like, right? Isaac, man, we got another one. All right, man, let's go.
How do your fans follow you, and whoever else wants to hire you? But how do they follow you if they want to keep up with your work and the best places?
You know what? I'm on Instagram. I don't Instagram every single day. I'm not one of those guys, but I am on IG. I did have a problem
finding Isaac when I was trying to.
Because I don't use a C in my name, because it would be Isaac and then another C right behind the Isaac and then Singleton Jr. So I just put Isaac Singleton Jr. for my Instagram name.
Okay.
But it's verified, so yeah.
Yeah, no, because I did see that in some of your publicity that it said that you specifically wanted to use the C in your name. I didn't know if there was another actor on IMDb or something like that.
I just feel like Isaac C. Singleton Jr. flows better than Isaac Singleton Jr. I just like the way it sounds. Isaac C. Singleton Jr. You know?
I like it. Works for me.
I was going to say, have you had work with James Earl Jones yet? And if not, would you like to? Or
I would love to work with James Earl Jones because that means we both be working, and I love to work. And but no, I have met him though.
Oh, nice.
I met him. He came to my university to speak when I was at UCF, and I'd already graduated at this point. But he came to speak, and I went back to go talk to him and just hear what he had to say. And the first thing he said to me, he's like, "You could play Jack Johnson." Do you know who Jack Johnson is?
No.
He played him in The Great White Hope. That was one of his first movies. And Jack Johnson was the first African-American heavyweight champion of the world as far as boxing is concerned.
You could do that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I even look similar to him. And I was talking to some people about getting that movie done, but just things kind of fell to the wayside.
It's funny because when you mentioned Dolph Lundgren, I immediately looked at you and thought, you could have been one of the players in the Rocky movies who played the opposite to Stallone.
If I hadn't been a child then, but yeah.
Right.
Well, you could be in the new one. They got the Creed ones.
I'm just talking about the style of character that he could come up with. And they do. They have the new
Creed,
but he's got the what's the series he's got where he's got all the people in it?
The Extendables.
The Extendables. We had an actress on the show.
You mean the Expendables?
The Expendables.
Okay. I'm like, the Expendables. They're like extended amount.
We know what you went. Oh, poor Joe.
Yeah, the Expendables,
Gotcha, Joe. Yeah, there's a new one coming up pretty soon. It's called the Extendables. You know what he meant.
I would definitely love to be in those, though. Those are great films. They're fun. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Same question for Joyce Lynn. Who is the person that you worked with in all of your movies? Is there anybody that, because I know you worked with President Ronald Reagan. I mean.
Yeah, but he wasn't, I remember that's the scene that I wouldn't do.
Oh.
And I got demoted to the sandbox.
Oh, so you had an opportunity to work in a scene with him.
Yes.
Okay.
But I just was like, not going to chase the boy.
You're not going to chase the boy. And that was before he became president as well, right? So then after that, it must have been a trip to say, oh my goodness, this actor's...
It didn't even dawn on me that way.
Nowadays, with the way things have gone in politics, I know that wouldn't be shocking. But when Reagan became president, it was that we had an actor who became...
And now...
So who would that be? Would it be Jackie Chan if you had your...
Of all the people?
Yeah. Who would be your favorite?
I really like doing comedy. I'm trying to think of who was the funniest person. I actually did like working with Betty White. I worked with her on Days of Our Lives, and I played a hooker on Married with Children. No, Golden Girls. I'm sorry. I get them all mixed up.
You did? Because I saw
we
so
were
many
all in
episodes.
jail together.
Really?
Well, it was, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I think I remember that episode. I used to watch Golden Girls.
I know. It's all reruns, they're all in Nick at Night and stuff like that. Because I like watching those old
Who was your favorite
comedies.
Golden Girl? Would it be Betty White? I loved Betty White.
I think so, because she's really dingy like me.
No, you're not dingy.
I kind of, like the crazy characters like that. It's funny because I look like more I don't know, like more, I guess, because I'm Asian, look exotic and stuff like that. But my thing is more like comedy. I do a takeoff on May West. It's May East.
You want to give us a little taste?
Is that an egg roll in your pocket? Or are you just glad to see me? Those of you that haven't tried Asian women, I'll give you a new slant to it. Haven't had many complaints. In fact, most of my men are hungry for more. An hour later.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And now Isaac's going to do the same role. That's awesome. So what's coming up for you, girl, for your fans?
Well, I have
You have a new cooking show?
No, well, my cooking show's been going on for a while. It was my first season is on Amazon Prime, but I discovered that a lot of people don't really want to watch 22 minutes, which is the, time you have to do because their attention span is really slow. And plus, I don't like to drag things out. Let's just make this dish, And so I started making quick tips, and I started making faster meals at like 10, 15 minutes, even if you can put everything together, because most people, they're so busy. They just want something that's easy to make. So I always say my meals are fast, cheap, and easy, like my men. And so it's called Cooking In with Joyce Lynn. And I've had lots of different characters, and I like to bring in different people, who've never cooked. They go, oh, but I don't know how to cook. I go, that's why I like it, because then they ask questions. Why are you doing this? Then I explain, and then I can kind of teach people stuff at the same time. And then they'll go, okay, how many teaspoons did you put in? And then I have to repeat it. And then they go, so that was 4 teaspoons of that. And then it works out better. But if somebody already knows, they might go, why are you doing this? And so it kind of works out nicer when people are really ignorant in cooking, because then I can explain.
Are they Asian-based cuisine?
Oh, no.
So it's all different kinds of things.
My parents had a regular American restaurant. It was like a 50s diner, like cheeseburgers.
I think it would be great to get
steak.
Isaac on the cooking show. Do you cook?
I do. I have to cook for myself. I'm a bachelor. I'm not married. I have no girlfriend right now, so I got to take care of myself.
Girls!
Yes,
Here
ladies.
he is in all his glory, 6'5", gorgeous, successful, talented, and humble, and a hell of a nice guy.
Well, I am a Christian guy too,
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah,
Even there you go. Well, there's a lot of them all over L.A. If you're looking for a girl in L.A., there he is, guys. What do you want to tell your fans before we close? How to follow you?
I'm on Instagram at Isaac Singleton Jr. It's ISAAC. A lot of people misspell Isaac a lot. It's ISAAC. Then Singleton, SINGLETON. Then Jr. JR. And it'll pop right up. It pops up right before you even finish typing my name out. And it's got that blue check next to it, so I'm verified.
The blue check is verified. There you go. I have the R Circle registered trademark, so I kind of pushed that aside and said, I have a registered trademark. I don't need your blue check. Thank you so much for doing our show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I had a good time.
And anytime you want to come back on the show, it's open door. You are invited. Okay.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Love to have you. How about you, Joyce Lynn?
Well, I have a movie called Fatal Needles of Death coming up. It's like acupuncture. I think it's going to be interesting. And then who's going to...
It's a martial arts movie, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. It is, actually.
You have 3 films coming out right now. Why don't you give us a
well, I have one out on like Walmart and, Tubi and Amazon. It's Amityville Uprising, and I end up being a zombie. And then I have one that I sing in called Call Me Emmanuel, and I did Emmanuel.
This is an erotic feature. Joe was talking about the.
Oh.
Yes, it's from a famous erotic film series, I believe. I think there's.
I actually worked on for Showtime the Emmanuel series.
Oh wow!
It was called Emmanuel in Space. And I did 3 episodes. But
love to check those out.
Yeah. Well, there's one when I was with a monk. That was wild. No.
It is amazing. You've had such a prolific career. And
Well,
you
I do-
you have not slowed down a day.
I do body doubling too, so
You're still doing it. And look at this woman's figure. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, and I'm a hand model.
I'm going to go work out with you. I want to go work out with
I
you.
love your calendars you have too.
And she's
Oh.
got calendars. Where
I'm
can
doing
your
a new
fans?
one now for 2023. It's going to be a throwback into the 1940s, you know, with the old-fashioned black and white pictures with the glamour. I think it's fun to, you know, be different characters.
Where can your fans follow you so they can get your swag?
Well, I have a website. It's joycelynn.com, JoyCelyne. And from that, it's got all kinds of fun things to see. You know, I'm a magician, too. I work at the Magic Castle. And so I'm kind of all over the place. I have 2 radio shows, Radio Vault Mystery Theater, and I have Neptune 9, which is sort of a cyborg kind of sort of sexy thing. But it's all cartoony, you know, so it's not really me. It's just my alter image.
Thank you so much for doing our show. We're so happy to have
We're
you
so
on the
glad
show.
to
Make sure
see
you
you.
guys follow Joycelyn, Lou, and Isaac. Please give them a follow before you leave tonight. I want to thank all our guests for joining us on Rockin' Sexy Uncensored. And you can join us again next week for another amazing episode. Thank you, Joe, for being
My
in the
pleasure.
house again. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Amber Lynn's Rockin' Sexy Uncensored. Available on rockinsexyuncensored.com. Don't forget to hit us up on all your favorite social media links and tune in next week for another amazing episode of Rockin' Sexy Uncensored.